Hello guys, today I'll show you some programs in System 32 that you might not have heard of and could be quite useful. I've got quite a selection of these utilities here, and the first one is Conhost. Now this looks a lot like CMD, and in fact it's pretty much functionally identical to CMD. But this can be useful if, for whatever reason, you cannot open CMD, so you can use Conhost. You can't use some of the syntax, like, I can't really do anything unlike CMD with these arguments here, but Conhost can be useful, and in fact CMD uses Conhost as a base. Next we have DCCW. And you can use this to calibrate your display. So if you have some weirdness with the colors or the gamma or anything, you can adjust it here. It's supposed to work. And you'll notice some of these here have CMD in them. That's because you have to run them in command prompt. And the ones in CMD I set up to automatically open in the command prompt. But anyway, next we have getMAC. And getMAC just shows you the MAC address of your computer, which can be used in combination with ipconfig to give you all of the information about your computer's network. Now we have HDWUSA, which is kind of a relic from like the Windows XP and 95 days. This lets you add hardware using a driver manually, and yeah, as I said, it's quite ancient, but it still works. And now we have help.exe, and using this program you can actually get help on any command you want. So for example, I can get help on the command label, and that will tell me how to use a label command in the command prompt, which can be useful. And now we have AliExpress. Now AliExpress is quite interesting because what this lets you do is it'll let you create a self-extracting executable, and to use it you can select create new self-extraction directive file, and here we have package purpose, so you can extract files and run an installation command, which basically runs an executable that you have packaged. Or you can just extract the files, which is not very useful. And you can create the compressed files, which lets you create a cabinet file. I'll select extract files and run an installation command. Now you can select a package title, so we can just call it something. We can do a confirmation prompt. You can also create a license agreement, and I can include that. And here we can choose some packaged files. Let's just package that. So I'm gonna copy calc.exe over to the desktop, and you can add as many files as you want, but we'll just click next. And now we can select an install program and a post install command. Now the post install command just runs a program after it's run the install program, so it's kinda not really useful, but the install program just runs the executable. So we'll just select calc.exe because that's what we packaged. Show window, we can keep it on default, hidden, minimize or maximize. I'll keep it on hidden. Finished message. Let's just say. Now we can select the executable name, so we can just call it like calcman. We can hide the file extracting progress animation, and we can store using long file names, and you can see here that it's warning you that if you want to run this on Windows 95, you should not select this. But yeah, I want to continue. And let's do no restart. How about I don't save the SED file? Now the SED file It is basically the configuration in case you want to build this again without having to run through this wizard. But I'm not gonna save it right now.
Approximately 10 hours later.
Okay, so it turns out running it as admin or like putting in a different directory helped. Now it has successfully finished, and here is our hello.exe, and if we run it, are you sure you want to continue? Here's our package license agreement, which I've written up. I wonder what happened with this symbol here, but anyway, yes. Process has finished, and there is our calculator over here. This works. Alright, and how about we just delete all of these as we go? But anyway, next we have ipconfig, which I actually showed before when I was demoing setmac. But anyway, what this program lets you do is just look at the network information, and if you use some parameters, it even lets you display all of the DNS queries that was sent. So you can see it's just Microsoft right now, but I can flush and that'll remove all the entries. But that's how you use ipconfig. There is more to it, obviously, but you know. Next we have ISOBURN, and you can see the help information. It's actually displayed in a separate window, but you can see /q starts burning in the image window. You can select the drive letter and the image, and what this does is it lets you burn stuff to a CD or a DVD on a drive. And I actually don't really have an ISO here or a drive connected to this virtual machine to demo it, but it could be used. Now we have case setup. I'm actually not sure what this is. It said something about Kerberos, so I don't think this is very useful. I don't know why I included it here. Now we have LPK setup, and what this does, if it will work, some of these might take a while, but anyway, here it is. This lets you install or uninstall languages, and you might have to download the file here, but anyway, you can do it if you download the language file or make your own. But next we have LCUSR Manager, and what this does is it lets you manage all of the user accounts on this computer. So you can see here's TR, and you know, you can go to any of these other ones. You can do stuff like enable the admin account or the guest account, or you can manage the groups and everything. Do basically whatever you want. It can be very handy if you need to mess with user accounts. But anyway, next we have MSCONFIG.exe. And what this lets you do is it lets you configure some aspects of the system about booting and stuff. And you can see here in boot, you can select safe boot or safe mode, and you can select minimal or the shell or network or active directory repair. You can also select no GUI boot if you want to see all the information while it's booting. You can select the boot log, the base video, which I assume just uses a fallback display driver, and OS boot information, whatever that means. If we go back here, we have normal startup, and also selective startup, diagnostic startup. I'm gonna select them. Here we have services, and here this will let you select, I assume, what services startup. Anyway, now we are in startup, and we have to use task manager here. Anyway, it opens task manager for us, and you can see here is all the startup entries, so you can enable disable. I actually don't want Microsoft Edge turning on startups. Let me disable that. Oh, and OneDrive. I don't want OneDrive. But anyway, that's that. Tools. This. Ooh, I see. This is quite handy. This lets you select some tools and lets you launch them. So about Windows, WinVer, computer management. This is actually quite interesting, and some of these tools here I actually have on the desktop here, so we'll be looking at them. Anyway, we'll cancel. Now we have MSG.exe, and what this is it basically lets you send a message to a user on a computer. So if I just send a message to myself, you can see I sent a message to myself, hello. And you might need to learn how to use it, and you might also have to adjust some firewall rules, but it can work. MSInfo32. This basically lets you look at all of the information about the computer, so you can see hardware resources. You know, we can check all the DVD drives and modems and USB and everything. So this can be useful. NetP. Now this lets you set up the. Now this is another user account like manager here. This could be a lot more simple. You can see in group membership, you can select standard, admin, or others, and over in advanced, you can require users to press Control-Delete. You can do advanced user management, which takes you to LCUSR Manager, which is what we saw before. You can manage the passwords, which doesn't really do anything, but that's that. NSLookup.exe lets you look up DNS Query. So if I wanted to go to, I don't know, home.mcom.com, it shows me the IP address that is linked to that DNS query. So that's cool. OpenWith, what this lets you do is if you run OpenWith, and then we can do, I don't know, like calc.exe, it will ask you what program you want to run this exe file in, even if it has like an attribute. But if I wanted to open calc.exe in Notepad, I could do that. And it can't find it, probably because it is selecting the desktop, but I might have to specify the domain here, and we can do that, and you can see it worked. So that can be useful. Optional features, what this lets you do is it lets you select features that you might want to install. So like if you wanted to install Internet Explorer, or like if you wanted to install .NET Framework, so that could be useful. No, I don't want to restart right now. But anyway, it's installed the features. Anyway, next we have PW Launcher, which is a Windows 2 Ghost start. What is that? Oh, something happened. Oh, I don't know what that does. So let's remove it, and let's go to runAs.exe. Now what this lets you do is it lets you run a program as a specific user instead of having to log in as that user. Anyway, we have Stockholt, and this lets you set up backups. So if you want to set up backups, you can backup stuff. We have secpol.msc, And what this does is it lets you set some security policies. So if you're like in a school or whatever, or work, you can set up some password policies and, like, you know, do all sorts of stuff. So slide to shutdown, it brings up this thing, and if you slide down, it shuts down your computer. I'm gonna slide up to not shut down. Systeminfo.exe does something. Yeah, it shows you all of the information about the computer. Yeah, a lot of information at least. You can see working Windows 10 Pro with 4 gigs of RAM. I should really use more on this virtual machine, don't you think? But anyway, you can see all the hot fixes, the work group, the page file, the everything. It's a system info program. Now you have system properties advanced.exe, and this basically lets you set stuff like the computer name, the hardware, advanced, system protection, and remote. So for example, if you have performance issues, you can actually just select performance, and you can choose just for best performance, appearance, or basically whatever. User profiles, or user profiles. Startup. You know, it lets you configure a lot of stuff. As the device manager, system protection, remote. So you can allow remote assistance, you can allow remote connections, you know, remote desktop. You can also use system properties performance, and that's what I just demoed. So you can adjust for best performance, and you can also adjust for best performance of programs and background services. I prefer programs because realistically, what are the background services doing that are so, you know, performance hungry that it needs to slow down your computer? So like, you can select the swap space, or they call it page file in window, but whatever. Yeah, so that's a thing. We also have system reset.exe, and what this lets you do is it lets you reset your computer, which I will not do. Treecom, and don't get confused with websites. This is not a website. .com is an actual file extension for DOS executables, even though I don't even know if you can run this in DOS. Anyway, it gives you a tree of whatever directory you're currently in. So if I go to, I don't know, like CDC users, and if I run it, tree.com, it'll show me basically everything, all the directories and stuff. TS discon, yeah, this lets you disconnect. It doesn't log you out. Oh, sorry. But it disconnects you from the current session. User account control settings lets you control how often the administrator pop-up appears. So you can do never notify or always notify. Of course, you do need administrator privileges to change this. But anyway, WF.MSC. What this lets you do is it lets you set all the firewall. Yeah, you get it. You can set up firewall rules. So now we have where.exe. Now what where.exe lets you do is it lets you search. You can search for files if you try hard enough. Winver, it's just in what version of Windows you have. WSL. Now this is cool. I think this is a relatively recent thing, but what this lets you do is it lets you emulate Linux on your Windows system. That would install Ubuntu and WSL, which I don't want to do. and now we have WUSA, and this lets you uninstall and install updates by its KB number. So if I wanted to WUSA uninstall, and then let's go over to Windows Update because it's screaming at me for updates down in the taskbar. 502.0683, and it will ask me if I want to uninstall this. I'll just say no right now. But yeah, it lets you uninstall and install updates. So, and with that, we're done. If you like this video, press the like button. If you have anything to say, comment down below, share this around, and have a great day. Goodbye. Fine, let's do those updates you're screaming at me about, your Windows.